Board. We're going to start with the clerk. Take the roll.
Rita.
Here.
Ness.
Here.
Alec.
Here.
Davis. Deering.
Here.
Guerrero Cuellar. Holbrook. Hanson. Jimenez. Kifowit.
Recording in progress.
Myers Martin.
Here.
Nienberg. Rashid. Ryan.
Were we good, clerk, with the recording? All right, and also I know Representative Holbrook was here. He's coming back, or he was here. I know he was here. If we could add him to the roll. Angie's here too, if we could add her to the roll. They might have just stepped out in the hall for a minute.
7 members.
So we have 7 members. I'm going to take us out of order what we originally said. My understanding, this is not going to take really, really long at all. And our former majority leader, the chair of the Pollution Control Board, I'd like to have them go first. She's going to come via Zoom, and they need a couple minutes to get her up and running, and it won't be real long for hers. And then we also have, when we just need a minute here to get the Zoom going. All right.
But I can't hear anything.
How are you, Barbara? We could hear you.
Hey, can you stop off at 122 because the room itself is muted, and I've already asked them twice on the Zoom to.
Wait, what is that?
You good? We could hear you.
Yeah? Yeah? I can't hear you. I can't hear anything that's going on there.
Can you hear now?
Yeah, well, I'm on the screen, but I can't hear what they're saying.
How's that? Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
All right, there we go. I said, how are you, leader? We're going to start with you, and you have a couple of members here that are in person. Maybe they could introduce themselves, and we'll kick it off and you could kick us off, Barbara.
Hello, my name is Angela.
Hi, I'm Mike Mankowski, another board member.
And Bruce Bennett, Fiscal Officer.
All right, I don't know, does someone want to kick it off on your opening statement? Is Barbara going to, or one of you guys?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So
All right, Mr. Chair, it's so good to be with you and the members of your hardworking committee. I am Barbara Flynn Curry, the chair of the Illinois Pollution Control Board. We are happy to prepare and propose to you our budget request for the coming fiscal year. Our missions are twofold. Our biggest job is to protect the environment, protect the health of the people of Illinois, not just for us, but for our children and for generations yet to come. We do this in 2 ways. First, we set the standards. We say what you can't dump in the rivers, what you can't put in the land, what you can't put into the air, what it's bad for us. And second, we enforce that. So if you did something you weren't supposed to do, you owe us a penalty, you owe us a fine, and we charge you. The second part of our mission is to judge cases when there are differences of opinion. For example, if the Sierra Club sues Midwest Generation, we decide who's right. If the Illinois EPA says that that business is putting things in the Illinois River that don't belong there and they don't have a permit, we're the ones who assess the facts. So we've been at this for more than 50 years, and we think we have a pretty good record. Our budget request today is pretty much maintenance, a little bit of an increase just to make sure we can cover the 3.5% COLA in the contract with AFSCME and the other unions, and to pay for a few expenses, court reporters, and so forth. I would make a point, we take no money from the general revenue fund, not one penny, but I want just to alert you that our fees are no longer bringing in what they used to, primarily because we've gone to electronic filing and people don't pay those fees anymore. This is good for them and it's good for the public. All you have to do is go to the website and find out what's going on, who filed what brief. This is great access, great transparency, but it means that we're kind of without the funds we need to go forward. We do have legislation introduced, Senator Adrian Johnson is the sponsor, that would give us a little more flexibility. We'd appreciate your support for that as well as for our budget. And as I say, we don't now take any money from general funds, and we hope we never come to that. So I'm happy to answer your questions. Mr. Bennett is here with all the detail. All the hard questions go to him. The easy ones go to members Benkowski, Tin, and me. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
All right, thank you. Does any other board members want to add something or any questions from committee members? Representative Guerrero.
Thank you, Speaker. I did not have opportunity to submit questions. I always ask questions every year, so it's kind of tradition. I will send out an email and then just have a series of questions related to just staffing and demographics data information, and then feel free to go ahead and respond, and I'll share that with the chair, and we can share it with the rest of the committee members. So I apologize for not sending out those questions sooner.
Okay. Well, actually, Mr. Bennett has all that information at his fingertips. If you'd like him to answer the question, Bruce, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you information now if you want it. Or if you want to, we can respond in your request also.
Yeah, we'll just wait until I submit the questions, so that way we can just get a complete breakdown.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative or Vice Chair Ness.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here today. And hello, Representative. It's great to meet you virtually again. I just, through the listening to the opening, could you just tell me one more time, what is your total budget that you're requesting?
I mean, the actual dollar amount, as I said,
Yes.
About 4.9 million, a little under 5 billion. And it's a 4.2 increase over last year just to maintain our responsibilities for the COLA, which means Social Security and all the rest of it, as well as the wages.
Sure. Thank you for that. And then how many employees do you currently have at the Pollution Control Board?
We currently have 18, and we're hoping we have 2 vacancies, so 20 max is what we're usually funded for.
And then, so you're funded for 20, you currently have 18. Is there any additional headcount in the new budget request?
I believe we're go up to 28, but we've never met 28, never had the budget to do that. So 20 is the max we've ever really had.
Okay. And then just, are they all across the state, or do you function mostly out of Chicago? Just, could you say a little more about that?
Sure. We have 6 staff in Springfield, and the remaining ones are in Chicago. And then we have 2 board members that also work out of a Springfield office.
But you dispatch anywhere, right? Like if there's a problem?
Yeah, we'll have hearings anywhere where needed, wherever they're filed across the state. So yeah, that's just, the 2 offices are where our staff are headquartered.
Great, thank you. No more questions.
All right, any other, is that Alec? I got to back of your head there, Representative Pellick.
Thank you so much. Last year, let me go to something else first. You mentioned in your opening statements that the fees are no longer bringing in what they used to because of electronic filing, and that needs adjusted. So first, I guess, what is this bill number that you're working on? Thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't quite get that question.
Sure.
Ruth, you handle that?
You mentioned that your fees are no longer
She's
bringing in
going
what
in
they
and
used
out.
to. Okay.
I can answer that. The bill we currently have is Senate Bill 3324, and that is to adjust our rules to increase our fees. We're currently at $75 per filing, and we have, that brings in about $1,500 a year. So again, that fund does not cover our operationals. We're looking for the increase to cover our court reporting costs and our publication costs that go with hearing and rule-making cases.
So where does the rest of the money?
Could I just add the point that the reason our fees don't do it is because we've gone to this wonderful electronic filing system, which is good for your constituents, as well as for the people who are trying to file requests for changes from us.
So where does the rest of the money come to fund the rest of the agency then?
Our appropriation request, the 4.9, that goes to cover staff salaries, and the benefits that go along with that. And then we get a non-appropriated amount from the Environmental Protection Trust Fund that we share with EPA and Natural Resources, and that covers a majority of our operational expenses. Out of the 4.9, there's about 100,000 that we need for operational because that EPTF fluctuates every year.
Gotcha. Okay, and then I think last year I remember that we spoke about the California auto emission standards that were kind of a big deal a year ago, but could you update us on where that stands at this time? That, let me find it. It was the Pollution Control Board rulemaking that was proposed that would mimic California's rules that would phase out the sale of gas and diesel powered vehicles.
Yeah, so that's in the moment on hold. We are waiting for court action. There was federal activity in this area, and tied up in the courts is the question whether Congress had the ability to rescind the California program. And until we know the answer to that question, we have decided that it does not make sense for us to go forward.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That's all I have.
Is that Representative Deering?
Thank you, Chair. I do see some commentary on pending litigation. Who covers your portion of that litigation?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question. Bruce?
As far as the costs related to that litigation, it depends on, if it's being litigated on our house, usually the Attorney General handles that on the appeals and everything, so their staff would handle that. Obviously, if it's something we have to do, that's taken as part of our staff's salaries and included in that. We usually don't, us as the board don't have additional costs related to that other than if staff might have overtime. There might be some related costs, but in the past, we've never had any.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right. I don't see no other questions. Thank you for coming before our committee, board members, and Barbara, it was great to see you, Chair.
I just wish I were there in person, Mr. Chair. Next time.
Next time. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, Nick, as they work their way, we're going to do the IDNR. Natalie, Director Phillips, Finney, and your team. right, whenever you're ready, we're going to add Rick Ryan, Representative Ryan to the role, and Director, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Rita. Thank you, Vice Chair Ness and Minority Spokesperson Ellick and members of the committee for the opportunity to present the IDNR budget request for FY27. We're honored to be here with you. Joining me today are key IDNR leaders who are prepared to help answer any questions that you may have. To my right, Assistant Director Todd Stroll. To my left, Chief Fiscal Officer Ellen King. To my far right, Sam Strain, Chief of Staff, and Jose Burgos, our Chief External Affairs Officer. Before I present our budget request, I want to thank you for the continued support of IDNR and like to share a few of the successes we've had since we appeared before your committee last year. We're continuing to make meaningful, noticeable improvements in our accounting, budgeting, auditing, and grants processes to ensure fiscal responsibility and transparency for Illinois taxpayers, as well as for our internal staff. We've added badly needed staff to our fiscal office. In January of 23, our fiscal workforce stood at only 33, and today we have 48 professionals doing this vitally important work. Because of the necessary investment, we're developing strong policies and procedures that will enable us to work smarter and more efficiently. I'll also note that we've continued to cut millions of dollars from our appropriations to remove excess budget authority that has accumulated over the years. We continue to actively work to eliminate longstanding repeated audit findings. Our Chief Internal Auditor serves as audit liaison, ensuring staff provide timely and accurate responses to auditors' requests and that staff clearly understand what information is being sought. I'm encouraged that we've also added an additional career professional auditor to our staff recently. And although we still have a long road ahead of us, we are making solid improvements. We're addressing decades-long deferred maintenance at state parks, historic sites, focusing first on projects with public safety considerations, followed by needed mechanical and roofing, electrical, and plumbing projects. Our external affairs team continues to focus on making sure college students know about IDNR and see public service as a path to working in science, engineering, and other STEM fields and beyond. They actively connect with young professionals from diverse backgrounds by engaging them at job fairs and community events all around the state, bringing more diversity to our staff and encouraging more diversity among park users. They each continue to be fundamental goals for the agency. And for the fourth year in a row, IDNR executed OSLAD grants for local projects, park projects, with a continued focus on ensuring economically distressed communities have a shot at receiving a portion of this funding. And IDNR's Office of Mines and Minerals and Oil and Gas continue to maximize federal grants we received under the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. This funding targets extensive mine reclamation work and the plugging and capping of oil and gas wells all around the state. Our operating budget request for FY27 is $628.8 million, as identified in House Bill 5634. IDNR has a separate request for $1.3 billion for their capital improvement projects. This is a responsible maintenance budget that enables IDNR to provide the core services and programs taxpayers have come to expect from us, not the least of which are staffing and maintenance at Illinois state parks, trails, historic sites, and other facilities. There are no new or expanded programs in this budget. And I would be remiss if I didn't note that collectively, state parks and historic sites attract about 40 million visitors a year. But I'll also mention that last year we hit our high of 41 million visitors. We're very happy about that. The Illinois Office of Tourism estimates state park visitors have about a $3.4 billion economic impact on the state. I'd also like to highlight a few items that will allow us to continue investing in Illinois and in IDNR's mission in FY27. The proposed budget includes $500,000 for the first year cost share on flood mitigation feasibility study in East St. Louis with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The proposed budget realigns appropriation authority for the federal funding we receive from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. This will allow us to improve efficiency and comply with federal regulations, with particular attention on our wildlife and sport fish restoration programs. We'll continue to prioritize our public-facing headcount that enables us to better serve our constituents. We'll continue to fund OSLAD grants for local communities that wish to update park facilities for their residents. Our 5-year capital plan remains focused on preserving public assets, improving safety, supporting outdoor recreation, and strengthening the environment and economic value of Illinois' natural resources for present and future generations, while also demonstrating leadership and innovation in fighting climate change. In the interest of time, I won't use my remarks to detail our upcoming capital improvement projects, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I would like to note that if you wish to explore what improvement projects IDNR has underway or has recently completed in your district, please go to our website, and there's a searchable portal on our front page at dnr.illinois.gov. I'm very excited about what the future holds for DNR with proper financial investment by the state. Again, thank you, and we're happy to take any questions.
All right, thank you. Will the clerk add Representative Hanson? Representative Guerra.
You're doing great, Chair. Okay, sorry about that. In regards to looking at your personnel, you don't have any vacant positions. So is this total here that we have, what's the total for your staff in terms of how much you use to pay staff out, benefits, everything?
So are you asking about headcount?
Yes.
So agency headcount, approved headcount right now is 1405. As of the end of last month, we're around 1285.
Okay.
That's full-time positions.
So do you have any vacant positions right now at this?
Yes,
Okay.
we can go up, we have a budget up to 1405.
Okay.
So a little over 115 positions available.
And are those positions, are they just all across the board in departments? Is it leadership? Is it is it middle management?
That's a great question. Most of these would be a lot of biologists in our ORC, some engineers in our capital planning and water resource office. What else? We still have some staffing in our state parks. We're still continuing, but that's been our biggest gain because the last couple of years our budget was specifically targeted to increase that headcount. And we've made good headway there, but we certainly have some more room there to grow.
Okay, and when you hire, is it internal or do you use CMS?
We go through the CMS process, yes.
Okay, so from start to finish, what's timeline look like? What do we look like from the moment that you have a vacant position to the moment that these folks walk in through the door?
Yeah, so we really look closely at that. So if it depends on the position, of course, depends on if it's in the bargaining unit or not. If this is an internal candidate that has bargaining rights, we can turn that around in a month or two. 2 at the most, typically. If it's a bargaining unit that has to come from outside, it could be a little longer. And then other positions can take up to 6 months. We're still seeing some of those that do take extraordinarily long.
I think last year, if I remember correctly, you were trying to hire a biologist, and it took over 6 months to try to hire that individual where that person was no longer available.
Yeah, it certainly, I won't say it never happens, it certainly happens still. I think, I want to be clear that the work that CMS has done, we've seen the improvements. Director Devon's done a phenomenal job. She and I talk a lot about this. It is a complicated system. I think I've said before, we kind of are all paying for the sins that those who came before us, and the system we built is extraordinarily difficult to navigate. And so we're both doing our best, but we certainly do see those difficult times. A lot of times it is a competition. So if it's a biologist, especially with our engineers, if somebody can get, that's more competitive in the private sector, it's difficult for us sometimes to even attract the talent.
And would you say that's because of salary or because of the timeline to hire the individual?
It could be both, but typically salary first.
Okay, and so for 6 months, I'm thinking we're losing a lot of talent for the state of Illinois, right, because of the 6 months duration. What would be easy to streamline that process? You mentioned technology right now, right? Is that the biggest hurdle, is the technology component? To try to navigate through the system, right?
Yeah. I think it's very hard, Representative, to say what would make it easier because again, the process is so convoluted. These are conversations we have I feel like every day. And you feel like you're beating your head against the wall because the system, the way it's set up is just so complicated. So I would love to have that conversation with you. I think it's better suited offline so we can get into the weeds with you and help you understand. It is very frustrating. And CMS is continuing to improve things, and as we do as well, but it's very difficult.
Okay, yeah, I would agree. I think we should have the conversation offline. There are
Happy
some more
to.
questions, but I would want to share that with the committee as well. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Happy
you.
to do that. Thank you.
Who's it? Representative Ellick?
Thanks for being here today. Let me see here. Go back and forth here. I was reading my notes from last year, and one of the questions we talked about last year was the transfer of Shabana State Park to the Potawatomi tribe. Can you just give us an update on what's going on? I know that last year we talked about it's going to be
Sure.
a very multi-step process.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a slow process. So just to update the committee, so the bill did pass to give us authority to transfer. There were contingencies in that we have a co-management agreement with the tribe. Also that we would be held harmless as an agency for any federal funds that would have to be paid back due to the federal grants. We're working on both of those. The federal piece is quite complicated, and so the tribe is doing some of their own lobbying in DC on their end, and we continue to work through our avenues that we have with the feds to figure out a process there, but it is proving to be difficult. But we do think there's a path eventually, but it's just going to take some time.
And do you feel like what's the, I guess, how is this affecting your budget with all of the legal and technical things that have to happen here?
Yeah, so for our chief legal counsel has really been the lead on this. She's had certainly some meetings with the tribe and their legal counsel, but those were just a handful at the beginning, and now since we really haven't been meeting much. So I would say it's very minimal at this point in time, yeah. Otherwise, we're still running the park as normal, budgeting per usual.
Okay. Okay, let's see here. So we talked about reducing appropriation authority, so, bringing your right sizing, I guess, your budget requests, but GRF is up slightly, other state funds is up slightly, federal is down. So I wonder if maybe we could just talk about like the general increases in GRF and other state, but also why is federal down?
Sure, absolutely. So I will let Ellen King, our Chief Fiscal Officer, take some details on this, but we have done some fund shifts from federal to state because just for better accounting. So I'll let Ellen give a little more detail on that.
Sure, I'll give you the 30,000-foot level.
Perfect, that's all I'm looking for.
So our fiscal stewardship in being able to propose this budget to you today really started right after we got the appropriations last year. The agency took a hard look at the appropriation authority, and we realized we don't have enough cash. So we self-imposed an internal reserve to push down our FY26 spending. So in the big picture, we are showing a 4.6% decrease in appropriate authority and general revenue funds. That's basically driven by, we have a $1.9 million decrease in revolving funds. That's with the DO-IT charges that now have been transferred over to DO-IT. 2.5 million reduction in a youth and adult conservation program. There was some fund shifting that we were able to do. $2 million grant to the city of Edwardsville is now in other state funds. There was $656,000 for 2 dam studies up in Rock Island. That project is complete. There was $462,000 grant to the city of Wilmington, and that was shifted off GRF as well, but into other state funds. Those are the negative, which were mostly the large bulk of those were due to the executive order to save 4% in FY26, which we are doing. There were some increases that did offset that. There was a $2.3 million increase to our land management, the parks and historic sites, and that was basically the result of our conservation worker program. If you look at the the cost per hour. Back in '23, it was, I think, $12.50, and it's now $19.50. Almost, it's a 48% increase in what was happening. So that allows us to maintain, those are the people that come and open up the parks. They come in April, work through the summer, about 300 people. It's not exactly all that we asked for, but it's a start to getting that program funded correctly. And then the director did mention the $500,000 in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for the flood mitigation for all the flooding that's happening in East St. Louis. That's general revenue. So the other piece, when we were looking at, the director mentioned, thank you for the funds to be able to invest in fiscal. We are now getting staff. We have fiscal officers for each office. One area that we wanted to make sure that we brought more transparency was in the area of our grants. Particularly, she mentioned the WSFR grants, the wild sport fish